These are the notes for Health Science Bootcamp for Broward College for measurement for the section about converting between U.S. measurements. So before you do these notes, please make sure you've read that chapter. We're going to be converting between units. So sometimes it's hard to remember whether you're going to multiply or divide. So instead of trying to memorize, we're going to do both. So you know that any number divided by itself is 1, and that's also true for units. So if you have matching units on both the top and the bottom of a fraction, those units cancel out. So when we're converting, we're going to use fractions in such a way that the units cancel. Here's a list of common U.S. measurements. Let's think about one that everybody generally knows. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. Since they're equal, the ratio of 1 foot to 12 inches is called a special form of 1. So if we wanted to convert, we could use the fraction or the ratio 1 foot to 12 inches as what elementary teachers would refer to as a clever form of 1. Now we could also use 12 inches to 1 foot, and which one you use is determined by what you need to cancel. So here's the list of measurements. And we're going to do some one-step conversions. And again, since we're generally familiar with U.S. measurements, you might be able to do these without the fraction cancel notation, but that notation is going to be really important when we try to convert things that are not common to your everyday life. So I'm going to start with problems and I'm going to write steps, and I encourage you to also write those steps, which will help you later in the harder problems. So let's try to convert 4 feet to inches. So I'm starting with 4 feet, and I'm going to times and divide. So remember at the beginning I said we're going to times and divide. We're going to use multiplication and also division. So I'm going to look here and I'm going to see, okay, I know that 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. So in my fraction, I either need to use 1 foot to 12 inches, that ratio, or I use 12 inches to 1 foot. And the trick is knowing which one of those to use. How do you know? Well, you see here we have feet, and that's technically the top of a fraction, right? Like technically there's a 1 under it. So in order to cancel, we need feet on both top and bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 12 inches on top and 1 foot on bottom, because when I put 1 foot on bottom, now we have these matching units, feet on bottom, feet on top. So those units will cancel out. So let me write the rest of that, 12 inches. So now I can cancel feet with feet. And now the math that I need to do is 4 times 12. So 4 times 12 on top. And on bottom, 1 times 1. So 4 times 12 is 48, 1 times 1 is 1, and 48 divided by 1 is just 48. So now the only unit which was left in our conversion was inches, so that's the unit which goes in the answer. inches. So 4 feet is the same as 48 inches. Let's try another one. 68 fluid ounces to cups. So we're starting with 68 fluid ounces. And we're going to times and divide. So now I need to go to my list and find a conversion between fluid ounces and cups. That's a volume. So it's probably going to be in here. Let me look. Oh, here's fluid ounces. I found it. 8 fluid ounces equals 1 cup. So now, again, I have the choice to do 8 fluid ounces to 1 cup, or I can do 1 cup to 8 fluid ounces. So the trick again is knowing which one of those to use. So in this case, we have fluid ounces on top, so we need fluid ounces on bottom to cancel. So I'll say that 8 fluid ounces is the same as 1 cup. So now the fluid ounces cancel out. This is on top and on bottom. So the math on top is 68 times 1. And the math on bottom is just 8. So I have 68 over 8. Now 68 isn't divisible by 8. So here you can do the division to get a decimal, or you can leave your answer as a simplified fraction. So let's do a simplified fraction first. Both of these are divisible by 4. Make that math a little bit easier. So 68 divided by 4 is 17, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I would say that 68 fluid ounces is equal to 17 halves cups. Or if I do that math, I get 8.5 cups. Okay, let's convert 90 minutes to hours. And again, you probably already know this answer, right? Because we use minutes and hours all the time. But I go through the motion of writing what cancels, so when we get to harder problems, you will not be lost. So we're going to start with 90 minutes. And I'm going to go to my time measurements, and I'm going to say, oh, I need to get from hours, or from minutes to hours. So this conversion here has minutes and hours in it. Booyah. Let's use that. Now, we need minutes to cancel, so we need minutes on bottom. So 60 minutes is the same as 1 hour. So now the minutes will cancel out on top and bottom. And on top, I'm doing 90 times 1. And on bottom, I just have 60. So 90 times 1 is 90. So 90 over 60. And I can simplify both of those pretty simply by dividing by 10. So I have 9 over 6. And the units was hours. 9 and 6, what am I doing? 9 and 6 are both divisible by 3. I might as well divide by 3 as well. So that would give me 3 halves hours, which is the same as 1.5 hours. So 90 minutes is equivalent to 3/2 hours or 1.5 hours. Okay, let's convert 84 hours to days. 84 hours to days. So I'm going to start with 84 hours times and divide. Now I'm going to look again at my time units here, and I see that I need to go between hours and days. And here's a conversion. 24 hours is equal to 1 day. So I have hours on top. I need hours on bottom to cancel out. So I'll put 24 hours on top and on bottom, and 1 day on top. So now hours cancels because it's on top and bottom. So the math on top is 84 times 1, and the math on bottom is 24. So 84 over 24. Now, again, we can simplify this fraction. It looks like both of those are going to be divisible by 4. So let's start there. We'll divide by 4, divide by 4. So 84 divided by 4 is 21. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay, well, 21 and 6 are both divisible by 3. So I have 7 over 2, and the unit which is left is days. So 7 half days, or 7/2 days. If we do that math to get a decimal, that would be 3.5 days. Okay, let's try some more. Let's convert 19 pounds to ounces. 19 pounds to ounces. So I'm going to go back to my chart, and I'm going to find weight because pounds and ounces. So 1 pound is the same as 16 ounces, and that's the conversion that I'm going to use. So I have 19 pounds times and divide. I need pounds on bottom to cancel. So we decided 1 pound was 16 ounces. So now pounds will cancel, and the math that's happening is 19 times 16 over 1. Being over 1 is pretty lovely because that means at the end we don't have to do division. But here, 19 times 16 is not something that I could do in my head. So I'm just going to go in the corner and I'm going to do 19 times 16. So 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 5 is 11. 1 times 9 is 9, and 1 times 1 is 1. So I'm going to add these together, and I get 304. So 304, technically over 1, makes just 304 ounces. Okay, let's try one more simple conversion, which is just a one-step conversion, and that's converting 4 tablespoons to teaspoons. Tablespoons to teaspoons. Okay, well, let's go back and look. Tablespoons and teaspoons. Ooh. 3 teaspoons equals a tablespoon. That's something most people don't know. 3 teaspoons equals a tablespoon. So I'm just going to write that so I don't forget. 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. Okay, so I'm starting with 4 tablespoons times divide. Now I need tablespoons on bottom. So it was 1 tablespoon is the same as 3 teaspoons. So in the math, tablespoons cancel. And on top, we're doing 4 times 3, and on bottom, we just have 1. So that's 12 over 1, which is just 12 teaspoons. So 4 tablespoons is equal to 12 teaspoons. Now, we can level up and do multiple steps to convert. So there's like I wouldn't say a handful, but there's a short list of things to memorize. And if you know those things, then you can use, 2 or 3 facts, 2 or 3 clever forms of 1 to do your conversion. So let's start with 972 inches. And I want to convert that to yards. Well, let's look here, inches and yards. I don't have anything in this conversion table for length, which converts inches into yards. But I know that 12 inches makes a foot, and 3 feet equals 1 yard. So I'm going to use both of those. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, okay, there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So now the inches have canceled out because they're on top and bottom. But I didn't want feet, I wanted yards. So I have to use another conversion. I'm going to put the foots on bottom and the yards on top. So I know that there are 3 feet or 3 foots in 1 yard. So I'm doing a second conversion, and now feet on bottom and feet on top cancel. So now what math is happening? I have to do on top 972 times 1 times 1. Let me do that in pink. So 972 times 1 times 1. And on bottom, I have 12 times 3. So we have 972 over 36. And that's going to be yards, but first we need to simplify that. So again, you can go through the process of long division, and you can divide and subtract and multiply, subtract, bring down. Or you can simplify the fraction a little bit and then maybe even change it to a decimal if you need to. But I feel like trying to figure out if 36 goes into 972 or how many times it goes in is a lot of work. It would be a little bit easier for me if I went ahead and said, hey, these are both even numbers, so I'm going to divide by 2. So if I divide 972 by 2, so 2 goes into 9 4 times with 1 left over. So now 2 goes into 17 8 times with 1 left over. And so 2 goes into 12 6 times. And then 36 divided by 2. So 2 goes into 3 1 time with 1 left over. So then 2 goes into 16 8 times. And like magic, I've now got smaller numbers, but I still have to divide, right? Because both of those are still even. So let me come over here. So these are still both even, so let's divide by 2 again. If you see something else that goes in, you could do that, but I'm picking the path of least resistance here. So 486 divided by 2 will be 2, 4, 3. 18 divided by 2 will be 9. Now 9 is just 3 times 3, so let's try dividing by 3. So 3 goes into 24 8 times, and 3 goes into 3 once, and then 9 divided by 3 is 3. And it turns out 81 is also divisible by 3. So we'll divide by 3. So 81 divided by 3 will be 27 over 1. And over 1 is just silly. So 972 inches is 27 yards, because yards was the only unit left. Let's try another one. Convert 5,400 seconds to hours. So we're going to start with 5,400 seconds. And now to get rid of seconds, I need it on both top and bottom. So let's go up and look for a conversion that has seconds, hopefully to hours. Let's see, where's time? Oh, there's no seconds to hours, darn. But there is seconds to minutes. There's 60 seconds in a minute. And then there's 60 minutes in an hour, so that's a double conversion. So let's do it. So we know there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. And to get from minutes to hours, I know there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So here, seconds have canceled and minutes have canceled. So the only unit left is hours. But now we've got to do the math. So I have 5,400 times 1 over 60 times 60. And that seems like a hard sell here, but stick with me. 5,400 times 1 is just 5,400. And now 60 times 60. 6 times 6 is 36. And then I could just tack on 2 zeros because those both ended in 0. And what the beautiful thing is here is that 5,400 and 3,600 are both divisible by 100 because they both have 2 zeros at the end. So that would change to just 54 over 36, which again is not going to be necessarily a whole number, but it feels a lot easier to do that division. So let's simplify. 54 and 36 from your times tables are both divisible by 9. So 54 divided by 9 is 6. 36 divided by 9 is 4. Okay, cool. Well, 6 and 4 are both even. So let's divide by 2. And I get 3 over 2. So 3 over 2 is 1.5. So I could say 3/2 hours or 1.5 hours? So if I counted for 5,400 seconds, it would be 1.5 hours. Okay, let's try one more. Convert 1 gallon to tablespoons. So I'm starting with 1 gallon. And I'm going to need a gallon conversion to get rid of those gallons. My goal is tablespoons, but I have a feeling that is not going to be in this chart. Well, let's go. Oh, look, the only conversion that I have for gallons is that 1 gallon is 4 quarts. Okay, that's probably helpful, right? So 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. Now, quarts, definitely not what I wanted. So let's try to kill those quarts with another conversion where my goal is ending at tablespoons. So, well, 1 quart is 2 pints. So I could use that. 1 quart is 2 pints. But still, pints is not what I want, so I need to kill it by putting it on the bottom of a conversion factor. So let's see. Oh, hey, pints. 1 pint is 2 cups. 1 pint is 2 cups. 1 pint, 2 cups. Now let's look to see how could we get from cups. Well, hey, look at this. It says 16 tablespoons equals 1 cup. So I've got to cups. Now I can jump to tablespoons. Booyah. So 1 cup is 16 tablespoons. Now here's the cancellation. Gallons on top, gallons on bottom. Quarts on top, quarts on bottom. Pints on top, pints on bottom. Cups on top, cups on bottom. And the only thing left is tablespoons. So I know that my answer will be in tablespoons. But now I just have to do the math. So the math on top is 1 times 4 times 2 times 2 times 16. And on bottom, I just have 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. So we need to do this math. So when you're multiplying several things in a row, you just start from the left and move to the right. So 1 times 4 makes 4. So now again, I'm going to write out all of these steps, but you may not need to write them if you understand how to do it. So now I need to do 4 times 2, and that will make 8. So I have 8 times 2 times 16. So then 8 times 2 is 16 times 16. Right, so I just went from left to right, and now I'm at 16 times 16, and that's not something from my multiplication table, and so I may need to write that out. Now I will, but let me just mention on bottom, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1. So now let's go off to the side here and do 16 times 16. So 16 times 16. 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 1 is 1. So when I add these down, I get 256. So this is equal to 256, technically over 1, which is just 256. So I started at all the way back here, 1 gallon, and I ended with 256 tablespoons. Okay, so now Laura gave birth to triplets weighing 3 pounds 12 ounces, 3 pounds 3 ounces, and 2 pounds 9 ounces. What is the total weight of all 3 babies in pounds and ounces? So this is both an addition problem and also a conversion problem. So first of all, I know I have these 3 babies who are very tiny. The first baby is 3 pounds, 12 ounces. The second baby is 3 pounds, 3 ounces, and then 2 pounds, 9 ounces. So now, since there are different units, you keep the same units together. So first I'll do all these pounds, right? 3 pounds plus 3 pounds plus 2 pounds is 8 pounds. And now 12 ounces plus 3 ounces plus 9 ounces is going to be 24 ounces. But we know that at some point your ounces are going to roll over to pounds, right? At what point does it do that? I'm not sure. Let's go back. How many ounces were in a pound? Oh, with weight? Here we go. 1 pound is 16 ounces. So what I need to do is convert this 24 ounces to pounds. So let's do that over here. 24 ounces. Well, there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. So the math that we're going to be doing is 24 divided by 16. So 24 divided by 16, both of those are divisible by 8. So let's divide those by 8. So that would give me 3/2, which is 1.5 pounds. So I could write this as, instead of 24 pounds, I'm going to rewrite this as 24 ounces, 1.5 pounds. So that tells me that there's 9.5 pounds of babies. But it wanted it in pounds and ounces. So now we're at, we're kind of at a redundant step here. So I made a decimal, but it doesn't want a decimal version. It wants the ounces because it wasn't a full pound. So I'm going to take this part, this 0.5 pounds, and I'm going to convert it back to ounces. So I have 0.5 pounds times, now I'll need pounds on top, pounds on bottom and ounces on top. So we know 1 pound is 16 ounces. So the math that's happening is 0.5 times 16. Now that is 8. But again, if you need to write that down, write it down. 16 times 0.5. 5 times 6 is 30. Carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8. This guy has 1 decimal. So 1 decimal gives me 8.0. So 8 ounces. So what is my final answer here? I would say that there are 9 pounds and 8 ounces is the total weight of those 3 babies. Okay, last problem. A patient is taking 3 fluid ounces of medication. How many T, capital T, should he take? Ooh, they didn't give us the measurement in words, they gave it in symbols. So we're starting at 3 fluid ounces. And let's go see what we can find out about fluid ounces and find out about this conversion, capital T. So I'm going to erase some of my highlights here because we're in the volume section. We're starting in ounces, and we want to convert to T. Here's T. T is tablespoons. Okay, so capital T is what we're using for tablespoons. Well, I don't have something that goes straight from ounces to tablespoons, but I do know that 8 ounces is a cup and 1 cup is 16 tablespoons. So I'm going to do a double conversion here. I'm going to put fluid ounces on bottom and cups on top. So I know 8 fluid ounces makes 1 cup. But now I have to get rid of cups. And we had that 1 cup is equal to 16 fluid ounces. So that's perfect because now fluid ounces cancels. Oh, sorry. 16 tablespoons, capital T. So fluid ounces cancels on top and bottom, and then cups cancels on top and bottom. And the only unit left is this capital T for tablespoons. And we have to just do the math. So on top, I'm doing 3 times 1 times 16. And on bottom, I'm doing 8 times 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. So 3 times 16. I can't do that one in my head. Let's do it over here. 3 times 16. So 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. So on top I have 48. And on bottom, 8 times 1 is 8. So I have 48 over 8. Now, from your times tables, is 48 divisible by 8? Yes. It makes 6. So 6 tablespoons in 3 fluid ounces.